What's the deal, y'all? What's the deal, y'all? What's the deal, y'all? We're sharp tapping in 10 and Trap News Network. Back in the same, like cook cracking the same here at 10 and Trap News Network. It's that good news you can use. It's that good knowledge, though. You ain't finna get nobody's college, though, man. I'm not finna hold y'all too long, but please hit a like, comment, subscribe. We finna slide right into Scandalous Los Angeles TV, man. I don't want to hold y'all too much because I thought this one was interesting. Meet the handler and business partner of WACK100. Let's get into this good content without further do's or don'ts. Scandalous Los Angeles. Let's get into it. Let's go.
Welcome back to Scandalous Los Angeles TV, where we expose the exposers and edify through entertainment. The other day, Smoked Out went deep into the vault and pulled out an oldie but goodie, a classic Doc Hicks video. In this video, Doc is speaking with a certain individual that wanted to remain anonymous, and this individual breaks down CS2Back's connection to E1 and Alan Grunblatt. This was a solid piece of content, and a lot was revealed in it. So today, we're gonna go through it, dissect it, and as always, put some paint where it ain't. There's a lot happening in the world right now.
That U.S. bombers carried out strikes today at 3 Iranian nuclear sites. One at Natanz, a site that had previously been hit by Israel. Israel and Iran have been trading strikes since Israel's surprise attack last Friday. Israel has already attacked the site at Natanz, now the United States.
An American airbase in Qatar coming under fire from medium and short-range ballistic missiles. Iran's supreme leader posting just moments ago, his nation, quote, will not surrender to anyone's violation.
Let's now switch to Israel. Go to our chief foreign correspondent.
The fact that we have world leaders beefing on Twitter is crazy.
Trey Yanks live in Tel Aviv with the latest, not only from Israel, but what do you make of the fact that this appeared to be a pretty limited response, Trey?
Yeah, John, good afternoon. We're getting more information from regional sources right now on this Iranian attack targeting the Al-Udeid airbase.
A lot moving beneath the surface. And if you're paying attention, you can see and feel it. And what's wild is how all of this ties together. The industry, the politics, and the posturing. So let's get into it. Let's break this down and see what we can uncover.
Now, this first part that I'm playing is a discussion with an individual that we're going to remain
Shout out to Smoked Out TV.
Anonymous at this particular time. You know, just if this individual decides that he wants to put out his name, but he's close to the situation. I'm not going to disclose his area or anything because he has a lot of ties and piecing different things together. But this is a discussion that we're going to start, and we're going to start a little series. Now, it's named Tupac Decoded. Now, WACK100's association to E1. Now, this first part is about an hour. I mean, it's about half an hour, where just this first initial discussion of us just talking on the phone. Now, after this, I'm playing this for you guys first because I want y'all to get an understanding of what maybe the 3 or 4 part series is going to be about, where we're going to actually sit down, not sit down, but I'm going to have them on the phone, and I'm going to actually interview them. I'm going to do different questions so I can break things down. Now, the reason why I'm doing it this way, because I want to give you guys the opportunity in the comment section where if there's any type of questions that you want answered about this whole situation that you may have, you know, after listening to this, if it haven't been answered or if it maybe pop different questions up in your mind, I want you to leave it in the comment section so I can write it down. And the ones I feel like that's most prevalent to the situation, I'm going to ask them, and we're going to piece some things together to create dialogue. This is for the sole purposes to create dialogue. So go ahead and check this out and holler at your boy, this DOC. Peace.
Now, before WACK100 even politic and opened his mouth and said he was working for these dudes, people that's already know a little bit about what's going on already know who E1 is. You feel me?
Yeah.
They're basically getting paid. They're basically a company, people to basically destroy the legacy and also, like I mentioned, push the false narrative that Orlando Anderson was the one who killed Pop.
So now you've really got to ask yourself, why are E1 and Alan Grunblatt invested in pushing the narrative that Orlando Anderson killed Tupac? Why are they so concerned with that?
Yeah, like, why do they even care? Like, that just seemed like something that they would really have no real concern in, or no real overall investment in, for real.
Version of the story. What's the agenda? Who exactly are they trying to protect? Because when people go this hard, to control the narrative. It's never just about clearing things up. It's about covering something up. So the question isn't just what happened. The real question is, who benefits from the lie?
You see what I'm saying? These are the people that are involved with the movie. These are the same people that are involved with Folkmaster Flex, all of a sudden just having this random ass rant that can't nobody understand where the fuck it came from.
Would have never did that. Biggie would have never talked about this situation. And I'm gonna tell you what I fucking hate about. I'm gonna tell you what I hate. And people always want to ask me why I said it 20 years later.
Lay them both down.
People always say why I said it 20 years later. I said it when the fucking shit was going on. And Biggie wouldn't have fucking died if that nigga hadn't lied. He lied. Y'all niggas worship him.
Who are you talking about? You talking about Puffy?
Lied.
This is Alan Grunblatt's money working in real time. So now we see exactly what the elites are spending their money on. Guys like this. This guy Flex is sitting in front of a camera, crying, trying to push the idea that Tupac is the reason Biggie got killed. And it was because of some lie he told. This is what happened.
Yeah, that doesn't really make sense.
When the check clears. This is what their money does. It will have grown men out here grooming and cooning on camera, rewriting history for clout and a couple dollars. Flex didn't just say it, he performed it. Got on camera, made up a story about Tupac being responsible for Biggie's death, and then cried about it. This is how far some of these dudes will go for approval, not truth or justice. Just a paycheck and a pat on the head from the people holding the purse.
Big's death.
Never, ever said nothing about him. He fucking lied.
Right.
That's why he got WACK100 all of a sudden calling Tupac mama a dope fiend and all this other shit, and people just don't understand where the fuck it's coming from.
You don't know what the fuck Pop was taught. Keeping it real, his mom was a dope fiend. She was a Harriet Tubman. You clowns talk this shit like dude was Malcolm X or some shit. He was a rapper that womanized, did drugs, and preached violence. He was coming an ex-Klan, 9-Trey XXD.
So now y'all can see exactly why Porky's been acting up on the internet. Doing all this clown behavior, pulling stunts, stirring up mess. It's really not that complicated. It's because of his handler, the one pulling the strings behind him.
We all got handlers, Chuck. We all have a handler.
You know what's crazy? He was trying to put out the whole situation about Loose Cannon having a handler and all that kind of stuff. Now here he is admitting to having a handler. Meanwhile, just yesterday you was on No Jumper with Loose Cannon's slow-witted brother. You got Turtle and Tortoise. You're on No Jumper with Tortoise talking about how Loose Cannon has a handler.
Stop it, Wack. You do, I got a handler.
And here's what you've got to understand. Whenever you see somebody who looks like us get on camera, saying or doing things that most of us would never say or do.
Bosco, Boski, every other word, blood. Fuck you, slob. Spider load. Fuck you. Yeah, fuck you, crab ass nigga.
9 times out of 10, there's somebody exactly like Alan Grunblatt standing behind them. That's how this game works. They don't come out and say it
It
themselves.
looks like a sitcom actor.
No, they use people who look like us, so it goes undetected. So you won't question it. When you ask yourself, why are these guys doing this? It's because there's always a very wealthy somebody behind them, with a different agenda. And guys like Porky and Flex, they're just the house niggas they send to carry it out.
It's coming from these niggas getting checks that are cut from E1. The first person, I don't say the first person, but Greg Cady, the cop who was involved with, this cop was involved with the Biggie case, you know, getting everything together and whatnot. This dude was knocked off the LAPD for changing witness testimonies. So he was already fired by the LAPD. So why is E1 having him as the person who's creating this documentary called The Murder Rap? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So So they're all working for the same entity. E1 not only is in control of Pac, but they're also in control of Dr. Martin Luther King, and they're also in control of Biggie Smalls as well, with their likeness.
Do you know why Prince, the famous rock star that was a friend of mine, do you know why he called himself the artist when he came back? He calls himself the artist because that's what they call us in our contracts. Oh, these contracts are crazy. You should hear the terminology they say in these contracts. To use your name and likeness in perpetuity throughout the universe. Who the fuck could possibly know what that means? Nobody does. It's so complicated, in fact, that when you're a kid like me, you have to hire somebody to tell you what that means. And you sit down at a table and you do the contract game. And that's how I got with Comedy Central.
So basically, this company has, if they wanted to say Martin Luther King was a gay Muslim, they could, because they had, and his family couldn't do shit about it, because basically they own the rights to him. You see what I'm saying?
See?
Hey man, this conspiracy theory is getting deep. We finna go all the way. You know what? Let's go down this rabbit hole. We're here. Let's go all the way down.
This is one of the key things they do in the business world, especially in Hollywood. After you die, they still want to be able to profit off your name, your image, and your likeness. That's why Dave Chappelle said, if you ever read those contracts, you'll see phrases like, in perpetuity throughout the universe. Yeah, the universe. That means if they set up shop on Mars, they can still slap your face on merch and stream your voice through satellites. You're gone, but they're still eating off you. In perpetuity means forever, even outliving the contract itself. And this is exactly what happens.
That's sick. Imagine being tied to a contract that outlives the contract itself.
When people sign those industry contracts. It's not just a business deal. It's basically like you selling your soul. You hand over your identity, your story, your legacy, forever. And they turn it into a product. So when folks tell you, read the fine print, this is what they're talking about. Because once you sign, they own you. Not just for this life, but for the next one too.
Now,
and it seemed like the one after that and after that and after that.
You got to know who E1 is. They're connected somehow, some way with Interscope. With Time Warner. Everybody knows Time Warner and Interscope, Jimmy Iovine, all that stuff. They all in bed with each other.
Yes, they're all in bed together. Same people, same network, same agenda. They're all part of that same culture Donald Sterling was talking about. The one I broke down in that documentary I dropped a while back. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch it. It's all there plain as day. They've all worked together. And part of their strategy is this. They use people who look like us to keep us at each other's throats, to stir up drama, keep us distracted, divided, and off code. It's not just about entertainment. It's not just about clout. It's about control. When you see these influencers and media heads fanning the flames, playing puppet master over conflict in our communities, understand that it's all by design.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah. But the main thing is this company E1. This company E1. This company E1.
Since we're talking about E1, I want to show you guys something real quick. Here's something you might not know. E1 even owns the rights to kids' shows, like PJ Masks.
Peppa Pig is crazy.
And Peppa Pig. That means their influence doesn't just stop at hip-hop or street culture. It reaches all the way into your children's minds. Saturday morning cartoons, bedtime shows. They control the message. They own the characters. So while they're pushing one agenda to adults through music and media, they've got a whole different grip on the next generation before they can even spell their own names. It's not just business. It's strategy. Look at what E1 thought.
Yeah, they're definitely like guiding this whole situation.
Would be good to include in children's cartoons. In a recent episode, Peppa Pig introduced its first same-sex couple. Penny Polar Bear, a character in the show, has two mothers. Inclusion marks a significant step in representing diverse family structures in the popular children's series. The episode, titled Families, features Penny drawing a picture of her two mothers and explaining that she lives with them. One of her mothers is a doctor, and the other cooks spaghetti. The show's decision to include a same-sex couple follows a petition calling for more LGBTQ representation in Peppa Pig. This move
Who calls for this in Peppa Pig? Like, who looked at Peppa Pig and was like, wait, we need more? This is wild. For that to be requested to have more of in Peppa Pig specifically is a pretty barnacle situation. Who looked at a kid's show and said, hey, yeah, we need more of that? Like, what?
aligns with a growing trend in children's television to showcase diverse family structures and characters. Previously, the show Arthur featured a gay wedding, and Bluey has also included references to same-sex parents. Once again, for some reason, E1 thought it was a good idea to introduce this type of imagery to children before they can even spell their own names. We've already seen this with Peppa Pig. But let's talk about PJ Masks. Now, PJ Masks is a kid's cartoon where the characters turn into superheroes. One of them is a little girl named Owlette. She transforms into an owl-based superhero. And if you know anything about symbolism, you already know what the owl...
Damn, that's crazy. I'm gonna say, whoa. I don't think I can say that on YouTube, barnacles.
...represents in occult circles. If you don't, you might want to look that up. But here's where it gets real. There's
A minor.
a brief moment in the show, blink, and you'll miss it, where Owlette is transforming, and she throws her hand out. And on 3 of her fingers, there's something written. I paused it, and looked, and it's 3 6s. Clear as day. So you've got to ask yourself, what is E1 really
No Mafia.
doing
Get it? 3 6s, no Mafia? Never mind.
putting that in a kid's show? What are they telling us when they put these images in front of our children? You might brush it off, say it's nothing. But that's exactly how subconscious programming works. They don't announce it. They don't explain it. They just slip it in, fast and quiet. In the documentary I did, I showed you who they themselves are telling us they are. This is who CS2 Back and Reggie Wright, a deacon in the Church of Christianity, are working for. A system and a company responsible for planting this kind of messaging into children's minds. And the executives down at E1 know most of us won't catch it. They know the average person has no understanding of how deep this goes. And that's the trick. What you don't understand, they use against you. Every time.
Now, there's one dude I think you should I don't know if you've been on your YouTube, but it's one dude, bro, you gotta check out. This dude is real instrumental as far as putting all the evidence together. Because see, what's happening now, bro, is you got a lot of people who was involved in that shit in the 90s and early 2000s that are now, without putting their name or putting their face to shit, sliding this man all the evidence that they had before. All the evidence as far as the gun that was used to shoot Tupac. I ain't gonna say kill him, but we're gonna say shoot him because we still don't know what's up with that.
Right.
It's all kind of stories about how Gaddafi was at the House of Blues and they confiscated the 40 Glock from Gaddafi at the House of Blues, and instead of the Santa Monica police giving the gun back to Compton or giving the gun back to the sheriffs, they gave the gun back to Right Way Security, who was owned by, of course, Reggie Wright and Reggie Wright Sr. The gun was given to them, and the gun was never given to the police. So right then and there, it tells you that these niggas has got something involved with the gun. You get what I'm saying? But I don't want to get too deep into conspiracies because, of course, I could be on the phone with you for hours about this shit, my nigga.
Right.
But when it comes to the most recent rants from PhoneFlex and E1, I mean, PhoneFlex and WACK100 is specifically because these niggas are getting checks cut by E1. Now, Phone Flex, the reason why he crying and all that shit is because he don't want to say what he's saying, but he know he gotta say it because these niggas is paying him to say it. You feel me? And I sent you. Go ahead, my bad.
I don't know. In one of my videos, when I was talking about that Fun Flex shit, I said that I was like, dog, when I really look in his eyes when he crying, it seemed like somebody else is pushing the buttons behind that. Like, he not crying because he emotional, crying like,
there you go.
He really don't want to do this. That's how he really looked sad in his face.
Damn, bro, they saying Funkmaster Flex sold his soul. Goodness gracious, it's getting deep. Sheesh.
My nigga, you are so on point. You on point. He don't want to do it because, come on, my nigga, think about it, bro. Think about it. He said what he said, okay? Let's just say for some reason he just slipped up and said some bullshit one day, right? Why does the nigga then tell you to stay tuned for tomorrow, and then he was going to finish what he was saying today, tomorrow, knowing he already got the backlash that one day? Who in their right mind will go back again the next day and then subject themselves to a double dosage of the backlash? It didn't make sense. He was doing that shit because he's getting paid. They're forcing this nigga to do this shit. You feel me? Now, I sent you a link to WACK100. It's an Instagram live feed. He at the airport or whatever. He talking about a gang of other bullshit. But I want to say at 6:04, I think I gave you the number, the minute. He's talked specifically about owning these death row reels and him being hired by E1 to executive produce these songs, to push him out and do what he want to do with them, whatever.
Now, all I'm gonna say is this: I'm gonna let it continue to play, but this is a very deeply intertwined situation, and it just goes to show how hard the powers that be. How hard the powers that be can go, no matter how high you think you are, you seemingly can't avoid these type of situations.
Whatever.
Right.
And you got to think about how YouTube and shit work, and people that are trending, how that work. You got this company E1 who could have picked anybody to give this information to, give this shit to, but they chose WACK100. Why did they choose WACK100? He's a loudmouth nigga. He's trendy, got the moment, and it seems, and it's not true, but it seems like everybody in LA scared of this nigga.
We all got handlers, Chuck. We all have a handler, bro.
Stop it, Wack.
You do. I got a handler.
But that ain't what it is.
Right.
Now, this is from E1's perspective. Like, who could we give this? So they pick WACK100. WACK100 is a nigga. He's managing game, managing Ray J. But who knows if he making real bread like that? You feel me? So I'm pretty sure he took that job knowing what the backlash was going to be, but he still took it. You feel me? Now, 40 Glock, take it for what it's worth. 40 Glock even mentioned the fact that that WACK100 in the mid-90s was trying to be a bodyguard for Suge. Not in the mid-90s, bro, but after, Death Row had, Pac had died and Snoop had left, and they was kind of resurrecting the role, and I think Corrupt had became like a president, some shit or whatever, whatnot.
Wack was trying to get in where he fit in. First of all, how can Wack be a bodyguard for Suge Knight when Wack is like the littlest thing on, like, you're tiny, bro? Who would even take you as an intimidating factor? That's wild. You're too little to be a bodyguard.
100 at that time was trying to become a bodyguard, and Suge wasn't fucking with it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now it's like, I wouldn't say the roles are reversed, but now WACK100 got his little clout up and his little shit up or whatever. Now it's kind of like he kind of some sort of a boss. You know what I mean? So E100 looked at him like, okay, I think we should target him as the nigga that, we get to do all this shit to. You see what I'm saying? That's why they picked nigga from the East Coast, Flex. They got a voice, they got a mouth. They picked the nigga from the West Coast. They couldn't pick Big Boy or nobody like that because that they wasn't gonna go for it. They picked a perfect nigga, WACK100. You feel me?
Yeah.
Now, I don't mean to go on and on, but this
good.
company, and you gotta know who Greg Kading is. This motherfucker is a dirty ass cop. For one, he was, like I told you, he was kicked off the LAPD for changing witness statements about not only the big case, but all kind of other cases and shit. And he got fired, but his official term, I guess, was retired. And the only reason why they retired him was because if they would have fired him, every case he worked on, all them niggas would have been had to let go free.
Oh, everybody would have been free. Everybody would have had to get on. So instead of having to free everybody, y'all just forced them into a retirement. That's a tricky, sticky situation.
A law, I guess. So instead of releasing some prisoners and shit, they like, my nigga, you just need to retire. You feel me? So he gracefully walked away for the sake of the prisoners not coming free. But he's got files on him for pointing guns at black kids, planting guns on niggas in Compton. This dude is dirty as fuck, and E1 chose this man not only to destroy not only to put the Orlando Anderson narrative together, but to also keep Biggie Small's mom away from winning her, I forget how many $1 million it was, a settlement, basically discrediting anything and basically saying it was the East Coast West Coast shit that killed Biggie. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And because when Greg Kading was doing his investigation, not one time did he ever include all the dirty cops that were in play here. Now, on the contrary, you got Russell Poole, rest in peace. Okay, I don't know if you know about Russell Poole, but Russell Poole was a LAPD detective, the real LAPD detective who was killed for solving the case. He's dead now. For one, not only did he solve...
Can you imagine being a cop and you got unalived for solving a case? It's wild.
The Tupac murder, because he received the confession letter, which Greg Kading and them trying to discredit, but he received the confession letter from the niggas who did it, which were the Patton brothers. The Patton brothers, Lil Half Dead, Snoop Cousin. I know this is gonna sound crazy, but hear me out. Lil Half Dead, Snoop Cousin, the Patton brothers, and one of them undercover officers were the 4 people in that car that went and killed Pac.
Now look, I agree with almost everything these guys are saying, except when it comes to that confession letter. Here's why I don't fully believe it. They claim Little Half Dead wanted to kill Tupac because Tupac stole his song Brenda's Got a Baby. First off, Brenda's Got a Baby came out in 1991. Meanwhile, Snoop, who brought Half Dead into the fold, wasn't introduced until 1992 on the Deep Cover soundtrack. The world didn't know Little Half Dead at the time Brenda's Got a Baby dropped. And
yeah, that doesn't really make sense.
Tupac was nowhere near Death Row Records at the time. Death Row was barely off the ground. So it's hard for me to believe that Tupac could have stolen that song from him. And Pac explained where the song came from.
The video you made when that girl had that baby in the dumpster? Yeah. What inspired you to make that song in that video? I was reading New York Post when I was doing the movie Juice, and it was this story. It started out to be this big story about this family who died because they didn't have heat and they left the gas on. Everybody died except for this girl. She moved in with her cousin, second cousin. She started dating her second cousin. He got her pregnant. Nobody noticed she was pregnant yet. And I was like, dang, and nobody talks about that. No young black males, no black males talk about black females like we should. We need to take more responsibility for our sister, because if we don't, who will?
He said he read an article in the newspaper about a 12-year-old girl who dumped her baby in a trash can. That article exists.
That's wild, considering the fact that nobody paid attention to that. That's incredible. That's wild as hell.
This is documented. So how does that turn into a motive for murder? The letter claims that the Patton brothers and Little Half Dead were in the car. I don't believe Malcolm Patton and the others could have hit that car that many times, that accurately, unless they had serious military-level training. And here's another thing. The letter says Reggie Wright gathered multiple people from multiple gangs at a park to talk about who was going to be the one to kill Tupac. That just doesn't sound believable to me. To me, it almost sounds like the letter was an attempt to muddy up the investigation, like Reggie likes to say, just to throw people off. Marion Knight said that if you solve the Tupac murder, you'll solve the Biggie murder, because it was the same circle of people. So if that's true, how come nobody is blaming the Patton brothers or Little Half Dead for the murder of Biggie? And even with that album cover from Half Dead, yeah, it shows what looks to be Gaddafi and Tupac, each with a bullet in his head. But a picture doesn't prove action. Nobody's accusing Half Dead of killing Gaddafi in New Jersey. So why take the image as proof that he pulled the trigger on Pac?
But what the murder rap DVD from Greg Kading can tell you is that Keefe D from Southside Compton Crip was in that car, and Orlando Anderson was in that car, and Orlando Anderson got jumped in the casino. So, okay, now let's go get the get back, and let's go also get the get back and get the money from Puff Daddy that he put on the head of Pac. This is all Greg Kading's story. You see what I'm saying? And this is a story that, like I said, was all fabricated to take the true story on who really killed Pac and what the real true reason was. And not only kill Pac, but it was also a coup to kill Suge Knight.
Hey, if all this is conducted by the dude that's WACK handler, man, goodness gracious, he got some pull. Eesh.
Because at the time, in 96, Death Row was worth $500 million. Right now, that's like almost $2 billion if you talk inflation numbers and shit like that. So think about it. You got a black man from Compton owning a damn near $1 billion record company. These Jewish white people was not feeling that. So the lawyer of Suge Knight, David Kenner, okay, who's now no longer his lawyer anymore, David Kenner was the one who implicated Suge Knight in the kicking of Orlando Anderson on the ground. Orlando Anderson told the police and told everybody that Suge Knight did not kick him. He said, Suge Knight didn't kick me, Suge Knight didn't kick me. The lawyer of Suge Knight provided the MGM footage to the table. So basically he incriminated his own client. On purpose, by the way, because it was a coup to take away Death Row, to take away all that shit from both them niggas and give it, they basically do what they doing now, living off the residual wealth and all the shit that Pac did before so his white people could get paid for it. But back to Russell.
All right, man, I'm going to let y'all watch the rest of this on Scandalous Los Angeles. Y'all know the deal, though. Red dots to the left. Y'all know the rest. Free Avenue Angel Tweets free. We are gone.